The launch of the unit, the global financial architecture, didn't collapse with a bang in January 2026. It simply stopped being a monologue and started being a conversation. While the cameras were focused on Washington and the trading algorithms were watching the Federal Reserve, the BRICS coalition expanded now to include heavyweights like Saudi Arabia and Egypt, alongside the original five quietly revolutionize the way money moves. They initiated the unit. This isn't a white paper or a diplomatic promise. It is a live operational currency system effectively bypassing the US dollar for cross-border settlements. The parallel economy, here at the economic of fallen empires. We track these shifts not just by what is said, but by what is built. And what the BRICS nations have built is a fully functioning parallel economy. For the last 80 years, if you wanted to buy oil, wheat, or microchips internationally, you had to play by American rules using American currency. That singular path is gone. The emerging economies didn't try to dismantle the dollar's house. They simply poured the foundation for a new building next door, unlocked the doors, and invited half the planet inside. Under the hood, the monopoly on global trade settlement is officially over. But to understand the gravity of this shift, you have to look under the hood of the unit itself. Its design is a masterclass in risk management, balancing ancient trust with modern ambition. The system relies on a hybrid engine. Pillar 1 is physical gold. 40% of the currency's value is hard-coded to bullion stored in vaults across the member nations. We aren't talking about paper derivatives or promissory notes. This is tangible, audit-ready metal. It's a signal to the market that this currency isn't just fiat wishing. It's anchored to 5 millennia of human value. The growth strategy. The remaining 60% is where the strategy pivots to growth. This portion is a weighted basket of the member nations' local currencies, the yuan, the rupee, the ruble, the rial, and the rand. It's a bet on their own collective future, leveraging a combined GDP north of $28 trillion. By blending the stability of gold with the dynamic potential of the world's fastest-growing consumer markets, they've engineered a currency designed to hold its ground while the economies behind it expand. It is the first serious structural answer to the Bretton Woods system since 1944. The catalyst. But why pull the trigger in January 2026? What forced this timeline? To find the smoking gun, you have to rewind to February 2022, when Western powers froze over $300 billion in Russian sovereign assets following the invasion of Ukraine. They sent a terrifying shockwave through the capitals of the non-Western world. It was a demonstration of absolute financial weaponization. Every nation that didn't perfectly align with Washington realized that their life savings, if stored in Western banks, could be deleted with a keystroke. The exit strategy for Riyadh, Beijing, New Delhi, and Ankara. The lesson was visceral. If your wealth resides in a system you don't control, you don't actually own it. The search for an exit strategy morphed from a casual diplomatic topic into an existential priority. The unit is that escape hatch. It is a defensive perimeter, a financial ecosystem where sovereign assets cannot be sanctioned, seized, or frozen by foreign powers. The logic is brutal, but simple. You cannot be coerced by a bank you no longer need. The dress rehearsal. Skeptics might argue that escaping the dollar is impossible in practice, but we are already watching the dress rehearsal play out on a massive scale. Look at the commercial arteries connecting Russia and China. As of this moment, roughly 90% of the massive trade volume between these two giants encompassing energy, technology, and agriculture has been completely de-dollarized. They are settling accounts in rubles and yuan right now. This isn't a simulation. It is a stress-tested reality, proving that two superpowers can conduct hundreds of billions in trade without touching a single greenback. The scale of the shift. The unit takes this bilateral success and scales it globally. And the scale is terrifying for the status quo. We aren't talking about a rogue state trying to evade sanctions. We are talking about a bloc representing 46% of the human population. That is a built-in user base of 3.6 billion people. When you combine that demographic weight with control over the planet's vital resources, energy, food, and rare earth minerals, you have a system with immediate, overwhelming gravitational pull. Impact on gold. This shift has profound implications for anyone holding precious metals. Because the unit requires 40% gold backing, every step toward adoption acts as a vacuum for physical gold. The BRICS central banks have been aggressive buyers for years, but a successful trade currency creates a structural, non-stop demand loop. This is the math behind forecasts from institutions like J.P. Morgan, which see gold tearing past $5,000 an ounce, with other models suggesting $8,000 is feasible if the unit gains traction. It is a supply shock meeting a demand wall. The American response. So, where does this leave the United States? It threatens what economists call the exorbitant privilege, America's unique ability to borrow cheaply and run massive deficits because the world is forced to hoard dollars. The unit attacks this privilege not with a bomb, but with a slow leak. As nations begin to settle even a fraction of their trade in units, the global demand for dollars softens. It chips away at the financial cheat code that has allowed the U.S. to export inflation and weaponize its currency for decades. A liberation moment. Here at the Economic of Fallen Empires, we see this as the beginning of a great erosion. The dollar isn't going to vanish, but its superpower status is being downgraded to just a power. For developing nations in the global south, places like Pakistan, Nigeria, or Vietnam, this is a liberation moment. These countries, often crushed by dollar-denominated debt and squeezed by Federal Reserve policies they didn't vote for, now see a lifeline. The unit offers them leverage. It gives them a plan B. The internal weakness, however, we must address the glaring weakness in this new alliance. Trust. The BRICS nations are a marriage of convenience, not affection. India and China have lethal border disputes. Brazil and Russia operate on vastly different political spectrums. Asking these nations to surrender monetary sovereignty to a collective system is a monumental gamble. If a member state hits a recession, or if geopolitical rivalries flare up, the internal cohesion of the unit will be tested to its breaking point. The Eurozone struggled with these issues among allies. BRICS attempts it among rivals. The conclusion, yet never underestimate the power of a shared enemy. The fear of American financial overreach has provided enough glue to hold this fragile coalition together. They may not like each other, but they all agree they need an insurance policy against the dollar. Ultimately, the launch of the unit in 2026 isn't about the immediate death of the dollar. It's about the birth of choice. For the first time in living memory, the global market has a menu. Negotiating power has shifted. If Washington threatens sanctions, a nation can now credibly threaten to switch networks. We are moving from a unipolar financial empire to a multipolar marketplace. The rules of money that governed your entire life are being rewritten in real time. The era of the dollar's uncontested reign has ended. The era of competition has begun. Ignoring this transition is no longer a safe investment strategy.